Hi, welcome to yet another episode under our bi-monthly webinar series, Get More from Mallapuram. Okay, and we thank each of you who are actually consistently joining our webinars and supporting us and really motivating us in continuing this particular journey. And this is the 30th episode and we are doing it consistently without any gap. Okay, and thanks a lot for all the support. And even before we enter into today's topic of today's webinar, let us do our let us actually get into the real purpose why we actually started doing this webinar series. And the real purpose is only to provide clarity such that you will have confidence on whatever the insurance policies which you have already purchased or which you are planning to purchase. Okay, so the entire webinar series is built on this particular single theme of purpose. Okay, and at the same time, even now, let's see how are we going to do it. And even before we get into that, let's also see through the declarations which we do with every webinar episode. Okay, so the first and foremost thing we want to declare here that we do not represent any insurance company. We don't represent any one insurance company. Rather, we represent our client requirement to all insurance companies. Okay, and at the same time, we'll be discussing issues which are related to only insurance. So no politics, no movies, nothing. It's all about insurance and the benefits and how the claims processing is done. So all these topics is what we are going to discuss within this webinar series, but no movies and no politics. And at the same time, we don't intend to criticize a particular product of an insurance company or a particular insurance company or a particular person of an insurance company. We generally don't tend to do that, and we don't intend also to do that. But if at all, if it happens, it is only by chance, but we don't really try to criticize any particular person or an organization or a product of an organization. And the opinions which are going to be discussed in this complete webinar episode is absolutely personal and it cannot be taken as an evidence under any court of law. So with these declarations, let me just get on to today's webinar episode, that is, what are those 10 must-have coverages? What are those 10 must-have coverages for the student travel policy, the student insurance travel policy? Okay, so that's the topic of today's webinar episode. Just like we deal with all other sessions that we deal with. First we'll be doing, we'll be setting the agenda. So we'll be doing the situation analysis, right? And at the same time, we'll be also doing the exact discussion wherein we try to provide the clarity such that you will have the confidence in the entire the topic of the day. Okay, and by the end of this episode, you'll be very clear on which kind of policy that you need to check. You need to just check up, and then what are the benefits that you need to look into, and what is the amount of coverage that you have to take through, and whether these policies, whatever that you are going to choose, is going to really help you out in the need of the hour when you're out there taking care of your international education, your overseas education. Okay, and we have also seen, like, now many of the companies are probably many of the people who have actually given enough of information about the student travel policy across the website, the internet. We have seen many of them have actually not touch upon the real critical factors which have a more impact on the real life conditions. Okay, so we want to just enlighten about 10 such things which are not shown to you or which are not told to you, but you have to really purchase those benefits so that you will have peace of mind when you're out there for your overseas education. Okay, and peace of mind not just for those students, but also for the parents, because those are the people who sponsored them in going out and doing those studies, right? Okay, so we'll have at length discussion on that. So that's going to be the second session, where it's the clarity for confidence. That's the session, and then after that we'll have think and thank. So this is the section wherein we discuss about what are the things which are not covered, and at the same time what are those exclusions, and how much of coverage that you need to have, and if at all there is any claim, then how are we going to process it. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to discuss in think tank. That's the third section, and then after that we'll come out with a very clear cut action points that you need to take care, because this is the time wherein people will be almost finalizing their universities and they'll be getting their allotment letters, and so this is the time wherein they will be also looking at booking up their travel tickets, right? So this is a place wherein we want to give you enough of clarity in which will help you choose the right insurance product, which will help you to have a right kind of coverage when you're out there in the overseas education. Okay, right? So with that, let's get into the first session. That's the situation analysis. Okay, so let's look at the situation analysis. Let's look at who are the people who are involved in the entire process. Okay, and if you actually look into this entire process of this overseas education, we have seen there is enough of challenges which students they undergo, and at the same time there are enough of challenges which even parents they do undergo, and they also need to know what is the kind of situations which can happen or which will be there when they're out there for their education. Okay, so let's go one by one. See, coming to the student situation, students are always being challenged not just by the parents but also with the societal environment, wherein there's a lot of pressure which has been created not just for the student but also for the parents. Just to say what is that you're going to do, what is your aspirations, and in which line that you want to go ahead and do your career. So there's so much of challenges, there's so much of confusion around, and it is the biggest challenge. It is biggest challenge for the student to actually decide on which subject and which university that he need to go and do his overseas professional education, such that he will have an extraordinary career in the entire lifetime. Okay, and all that pressure, all that situation comes out, and this is a situation wherein it comes to an end, and probably you would have already even finalized your university, your subject, everything is done. So the student is done with the entire process of the challenge of finding out the right topic, the right subject with the right university, right? So the search ends here, right? And at the same time, this is the time wherein they are actually taking a very brave step towards their future, and really they want to do something great for their family, wherein they can be really proud of. So this is the situation in which they will be in. Okay, and at the same time, there's a lot of freedom. So probably you're being there under the guidance of your parents, under the watch and lookout of your parents. But now, once you go out of India, there's lots of freedom. So people tend to get involved into some more activities which is other than the real purpose of going out and doing their overseas education. This can also even lead to a legal crisis which can come up. The personal liability crisis which can also turn up. At the same time, they don't even tend to be alone there, so they need to be along with their friends, the new friends, or friends from even other countries, and they may have to live together to actually do and complete their complete overseas education, right? So there's a lot of adventure which goes on, because there's a new culture into which they need to get accustomed. You are not living into your home, right? Okay, now there's a new people, new culture, new ways of living, and all those things you need to get adopted as early as possible. So this is a continuous challenge which is out there, but the students are able to choose the right option, right education, right university for themselves. So that's the situation of the students, right? Okay. Now coming to the situation of the parents. And so the students, they always give an assurance to the parents that they are always ready to take up the challenges. And that actually gives a lot of happiness to the parents. Okay, they feel so proud because now they see like their children are actually growing up, and then they're grown up and they're able to take the decisions on their own. Even though they see like now they can take the decisions, they can do their work on their own, still the parents, they feel the children are always children, right? Okay, and that's a very reason there's always a little fear among the parents, like how my child is going to accustom there. Are they going to take care of themselves? Can they mingle with the other people, or can they mingle with the other culture, right? So all these doubts will be there, that little fear will be there, and that's actually add up to the real reason, because they actually miss the child as a person. So in person they actually miss the child. And but I've seen many of the parents, they do call up their overseas child on a daily basis. There's a high emotional bonding which actually comes up, and I myself have seen in my family too. Okay, so the emotional bonding actually goes up very high, and but really both the people, the child and the parents, they do miss each other, right? And that's why they're always in their call, when they're communicating with the child, they always caution them: take care of your food, take care of your education, take care of your belongings, take care of your future. So that's how the parents are and their situation is. Now coming to the real overseas conditions which is out there, there will be lots of people and the student organizations which are out there in the universities who are there to help you out. And you could see most of the people are from our native country. Okay, so don't get worried. You will be properly guided over there. Okay, and they will also help you to understand the rules and regulations and the legalities which are out there. And this is the most important part. Get yourself accustomed so very well, because any mistake that we tend to do can cost you a legal liability, right? Okay, and we need to live along with the groups of people, right? Probably from different countries and different situations, right? So tend to get accustomed to the new people and the new culture and professional environment. There's absolutely professional environment everywhere to uplift the real talent. So focus on the real purpose for which you're gone for your overseas education. So this is the entire situation which is in. Everything actually looks fantastic and excellent, okay, until there is a claim which happens. Okay, and that's where the insurance comes into the picture, and you need to have the right kind of coverages wherein you can be taken care of those situations in which you need that economical support. Okay, right? So let's get into the second session of today's discussion, that's clarity for confidence. And this is a section wherein we really drill down those 10 must-have coverages in the student travel policy. Okay, so let's look into that. Let's go one by one. Okay, so the first coverage which you have to have in the must-have coverage in your student travel policy is your medical emergency coverage. Okay, and let's look into a little more deep on this. Like what does this actually cover? In the medical emergency cover, it covers two things. Okay, the first thing is about the accident, and the second thing is about the sickness. Okay, so what all can happen because of an accident? Okay, let's drill down a little more into it. In an accidental situation, there could be a third party accident which has actually happened, or you could also get involved into an accident. Okay, because of you, even the accident can happen. Okay, in those conditions also we have the coverage that we'll do the coverage. We'll do a discussion on the third party liability coverage in the next coverage section. But first, let's look into this accident and sickness. Okay, and there are some. So there is going to be an coverage, the payment will be done by the insurance company in case of hospitalization because of an accident or even because of a sickness. Sickness could be because of some fever, from some disease, from dengue, or it could be even corona, okay, the COVID-19, right? Okay, so all these things, because of which, if at all we need to get hospitalized, then every single thing will be paid by the insurance company, provided you have the right cover of right kind of sum assured and right kind of policy which you have. If you go for a small little policy, then it all comes with the sublimits, and the sublimits will actually tend to pay even after some deductions. There are also policies which are available wherein there is no deductions which are there in the policy and everything is paid out. But it comes with a small cost, but that small little cost in Indian rupees is much better than paying a lot of money to the hospitals when there is a real need because of an accident or because of a sickness. Okay, right? And there are also some extensions which can be given for this medical emergency. The extensions are like this. Okay, the first one is coverage for pre-existing diseases. Most of the insurance companies they do offer a coverage for pre-existing, but it is not detailed out very clearly. Okay, the kind of coverage what we recommend is you need to have a coverage wherein it can do an emergency, it can cover you in an emergency hospitalization wherein even if it is related to the pre-existing condition. See, how does that that is known, and or how that it is processed? It is processed like this. There could be an acute pain or an acute condition which has turned up because of a pre-existing condition. Just to get you out of that acute condition, the coverage can be given. Okay, and we have such kind of policies in place. Okay, right, and at the same time we can also have the treatment for the mental and nervous disorders, including alcoholism and also the drug dependency. If any such bad habits you tend to get out there, you need to also have an add-on additional coverage. This will not be given for the minimum basic kind of policies. Probably you need to go for a little upgraded version of the policies wherein you will have these conditions in place. Okay, these are the extended coverages in the policy. At the same time, we also have the sickness dental relief. Okay, because of the sickness, how does somebody know whether it is a sickness dental relief? Okay, see, there should be a sudden acute pain to your tooth, which is actually a healthy tooth. Sudden acute pain which has come up for a tooth which is healthy and a normal sound tooth. Okay, then that becomes payable. Most of the insurance companies, they don't cover up this particular thing, but it is covered in the high-end kind of policies, which we do recommend to have a comprehensive coverage, right? And maximum coverage which can be given is up to 30 days. That means today, if there is a acute dental pain which has come up, from here, whatever the treatment which happens for next 30 days, all those things can be covered, not beyond 30 days. Okay, I hope this is clear, right? If it is clear, I suggest to type in clear in the chat box. Oh, thank you for responding. See, it is thanks to the media which has actually grown to such an extent where we can actually interact and we can sit at our own comfort and still we can interact with each other. And thanks to the chat box which is out there. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for responding on this webinar series. Okay, so it's only the first 30 days from the date of acute pain. It will be covered, not beyond 30 days. Okay, and at the same time we also have some more extensions like a maternity benefit. We are also even seeing people after marriage, they are actually going for the overseas education. Okay, and even in those conditions, the maternity benefit can also be extended under the policy, and this is both as an inpatient and even if there is a situation wherein we need to go for a medically necessitated termination of pregnancy. okay, due to the medical condition only. The self-intention of termination of the maternity, that is not covered. But if it is medically necessitated to terminate the pregnancy, then it is covered. It is covered only as an inpatient. Okay, right? And even the child care can be given, because most of the health insurance policies, they don't cover the child up to the initial 90 days. Okay, herein we also have this extension in the policy where the child can be covered from after 7 days to 90 days. Okay, from the 7th day onwards till 90 days, we can actually have the coverage for the child, for the infant. Okay, so this is also one of the extension which is really useful, especially for the people who are actually going for an overseas education after the marriage, right? Okay, and at the same time, we also have a few more things like cancer treatment and even mammography treatment, which if mammography is actually a diagnostic thing. Okay, if those things need to be done in the overseas condition, right? Even those things are actually covered, but not as a diagnostic thing. So it is not what do you call a preliminary kind of pre-health checkup kind of thing for the cancer detection or for in the mammography. That those things are not covered, but a reasonable and customary charges are given as a not as a preventive health check, but as a part of the treatment. Okay, and at the same time, an ongoing physiotherapy treatment due to the hospitalization can still continue even after the person discharged from the hospital because of an accidental sickness. Okay, so these are the additional coverages which are there within the medical emergency cover. So check out your policy whether you have all these details in place. If at all you need to pay a little more extra, it's always worth doing it. Right? Okay, and let's come to the second coverage. Second coverage is about the unfortunate event which can happen with the sponsor. We call it as sponsor coverage. Okay, the sponsor protection coverage is something which is really awesome because it will reimburse the entire the tuition fees which is incurred for the remaining period of education. Okay, so like all the tuition fees, because the sponsor is could be like the event of injury which happened to the sponsor, and because of which accidental injury which happened to the sponsor, because of which the sponsor is now no more, he's died, or he has become permanently disabled. Even in these two conditions, there will be a reimbursement of the entire tuition fees which incurred for the remaining period of the education. Okay, right? Okay, this is something which is a really fantastic coverage which you need to have, a must-have coverage in a student travel policy. Okay, and coming to the third thing, it is a study interruption coverage. Do we have the study interruption coverage within our policy? This is something which is really fantastic and you need to have within your policy. Study interruption, how can this happen? This can happen in different scenarios. Let's look into that. Okay, study interruption. So it's the reimbursement of your tuition fees if unable to continue your studies for the remaining semesters due to the first one. If hospitalized more than 1 month and consecutive because of a covered injury or sickness. So there is a covered injury or sickness because of which you got hospitalized, and that claim has been paid, and at the same time even your study got interrupted. You can't study anymore. Okay, because of that particular sickness or an accident. In those circumstances, the unused tuition fees will be reimbursed. Okay, will be reimbursed to the student. Or it could be even if there is any terminal illness which has come to the student, because of which he is unable to continue doing his study. There is an interruption for his study. Even in those conditions, the tuition fees, the unused tuition fees, if unable to continue the studies, will be reimbursed to the student. Okay, right? And in case of even medical repatriation, there might be some serious illness which has actually happened, or it could be even because of an accident. It is been proven, and the doctor certifies that it's a medical emergency repatriation which need to be done. That's the seriousness of the condition, and the student is unable to continue his study over there. Whatever is the unused tuition fees, the entire amount will be reimbursed back to the student by the insurance company. Okay, and this is also one of those must-have coverages in your student travel policy, right? Okay, and at the same time, in case of a death of an immediate family member, there's a death of an immediate family member out there in back home in India, right? And then the student has to leave the university, come back, and then take care of their family, or he's unable to continue further because of a demise of the family member, and especially the immediate family member, right? Then also the unused tuition fees will be reimbursed back to the student. Okay, so the study interruption cover is something which is like a mandatory cover, which we say you must have in your student travel policy, which covers you for your entire study period of you in the overseas education. Though it is getting it need to be renewed on an yearly basis. The policy is given for the entire 365 days, right? And it need to be renewed even before it expires, right? Okay, so this is a third coverage which need to have a must-have coverage in your student travel policy. Let's now get into the fourth coverage. The fourth coverage is about the bail bonds. How come the bail bonds into the student travel policy? Isn't it right? Okay, let's check it out. Okay, and this bail bond coverage is something which really gives you a lot of courage, a lot of support, especially if at all there is an a false arrest or a false or wrongful detention of the student because of by any government. Okay, right? The cost of the entire bail bond which need to be produced to the legal department in getting you relieved out of the arrest, all those things will be reimbursed by the insurance company. Okay, and the only caution here is it should be a false arrest. So you should not be involved into any crime, or it is a wrongful detention, okay, by any government. Okay, otherwise this coverage will not be there. Okay, right? So this is the fourth must-have coverage under your student travel policy. That's a bail bond cover, right? Let's go to the fifth coverage. Fifth coverage is all about your continual treatment coverage. What does this mean? So, say suppose there is a situation wherein the student got some medical sickness, and he got detected, he has been treated, and then it's been proven, and the doctor even certifies that we need to repatriate him back home. Okay, it's a medical repatriation which has actually happened. Now, after the student is repatriated back to India, right? Okay, then he may have to even continue taking the treatment. That treatment which he need to take even after he comes back to the country of origin, that's the India, right? Even all these expenses, whether it is accidental or whether it is sickness medical expenses, all these expenses will be paid, and will be paid maximum up to 60 days. That means even up to 2 months of the treatment which actually happens to the student after he is repatriated back home. Okay, all these expenses are still paid by your overseas travel insurance policy. All that you need to check it out is you need to have these kind of coverages within your policy. If you need any help, we are always there. You can actually call up this number. This is 7569 645 645, or else you can also take an photograph of or you can actually take care of this scan code which is out there. It will lead you to a page where you can just key in the details of your personal contact details, wherein me and my team will come out, will reach out to you and will help you out in getting the right kind of coverage, and we can have a secured peace of mind for your entire overseas education. Okay, right? So let's continue with now. With this, we actually completed 5 must-have coverages, and hope you people are really enjoying this webinar series. If it is yes, just type in yes in the chat box. Oh, thank you. I think out of all the webinar episodes that we have already done, I think this is the episode wherein we have almost more than 160 people who are there on this webinar. And I thank everyone, every student out there, every parent out there who is looking to secure themselves and wanting to have a peace of mind with their overseas education. And we are here to find out the best available policies which are there in the market. And these are the best must-have coverages in your student travel policy. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for being us on this webinar episode. Right, and with this, let's go to the 6th coverage. The 6th coverage is all about the accidental death or dismemberment coverage. Okay, so accidental death of accidental death or even the dismemberment, and this can happen not just for the student but also even for the parent. The parent happens, that is covered under the sponsor cover. If it happens to the student who has actually gone out there for the treatment, then the entire sum assured is given out as a compensation. Okay, and even the felonious assault is also being covered under this coverage. We do also have the felonious assault situation wherein you are being hit or being stabbed or being put out on a gunfire, and there's a death which has actually happened or a dismemberment which has actually happened because of that. Even then, your overseas travel policy will cover you even for the treatment and also as a compensation. Okay, right? So this is the 6th must-have coverage under your policy, right? And then the 7th coverage which we also look at is the personal liability cover. Okay, the personal liability cover comes out wherein all the legal crisis or the legal claiming on yourself which can come up because of your act. Okay, it could be known or unknown. Known is actually not covered. It's an unconsciously if something happens, and because of which the legal liability, the legal cases are being filed against you because of the property damage. Okay, it could be because of the property damage, or it could be because of the medical expenses which the other person actually incurred because of your act, and because of you he met with an accident. Okay, so that's the legal liability which can be filed against you, and all these expenses can be covered if you have your personal liability coverage which is out there in the policy. Okay, right? And then after that we have the 8th coverage. The 8th must-have coverage for yourself in your student travel policy is compassionate travel coverage. Okay, the compassionate travel coverage could be 2 ways. Let's look into that. Okay, see, there's one situation which happens wherein the cost of round around the trip, like onward journey and then the backward journey, both the journeys are going to be covered by the insurance company. Okay, and and it is only covered up to only the economy class, and also even the accommodation is also been taken care. But I'll give you 2 scenarios wherein it can be covered. One is when an immediate family member need to travel to the location of the student. Okay, because he has got more than 7 days of hospitalization, or because of a medical sickness, or also even because of an accident. Okay, in those conditions, it is given for an immediate family member to come to the student location and again go back to home. So both the travel and also even the stay is given. All those expenses. The travel is only the economy fare which is being given by the insurance company. Now, there is also a different situation wherein student may have to travel to home because an immediate family member, there's a death or there is a more than 7 days of hospitalization of an immediate family member and they are in a very serious condition and he has been asked to come back home because it's been more than 7 days of hospitalization. Even in these conditions, the student will be given an economy fare to come back home and again go back to the university. Again, the entire travel, the roundabout trip is been covered if you have the compassionate travel coverage under your policy. Okay, so this is the 8th must have coverage under your student overseas travel coverage. Now, coming to the 9th coverage here. Okay, if there is any fraudulent charges, which you may have to pay compulsory. All those fraudulent charges which you may have to pay compulsory can also be covered if we have this fraudulent charges covered. And how this can happen? This can happen in a scenario wherein there is an unauthorized charges that you are made responsible to pay because you lost your pay card or you lost your credit card and somebody else has actually used it and they have actually used up the entire money out there. So this is a fraudulent charge. But it should be because of a loss or stolen payment card of yours. If that happens, then that entire money up to the limits which have been there within the policy, that's the reason we request you to go for some higher limits so that you will have a better coverage in place. Okay, so the fraudulent charges cover is something which we also recommend to must have within your overseas student travel insurance policy. Okay, and the 10th cover is the journey related covers. Okay, it's all about the journey, like your bagging, your boarding onto the flight, and then your connecting flight. So all these charges which you might incur because of the risks which are there involved in the entire journey. The journey related things are like the baggage loss, the checked in baggage, you just checked in, but you didn't get your baggage, so it's completely lost. Okay, so that coverage will be given, or it could be a baggage delay. The connecting flight got probably the baggage got misplaced out there, so it has taken few more days to get it back to you. If the delay is more than 12 hours, only then this is payable. Okay, even the baggage loss need to be certified by the airline authorities. Okay, only after the certification by the airline authorities only, then it becomes payable. And in the baggage delay, the expenses could be like per day expenses, like you purchase some clothes because the bag is not with you, or you purchase some food. Okay, or per day expenses. I think it's a little decent amount which is actually given out to take care of your expenses. Okay, and then we also have something like loss of passport. So we have seen in one situation wherein we could help them out in settling the claim when they lost the passport, and they have been asked to stay up there and then apply for the temporary passport from the embassy, and then they actually continued their travel. Okay, so loss of passport, what are the expenses which are there, or the limit which has been mentioned out within the policy limits, that money can be given out under your overseas student travel education policy. Okay, right? And then a missed connection. So you miss the connection flight because or the missed departure because of the other flight got delayed. In those circumstances, generally the airline people, they do take care, but if they don't do take care, then it is actually paid if it is more than if the stay is more than 12 hours. Right, so the first 12 hours is not counted, and then after that, for every 12 hours, they do pay some X amount of dollars. It depends on the kind of coverage what you take, the amount of coverage what you take. Okay, right? And then the trip is getting delayed. Okay, so even in those conditions, the airline people, they do take care. But if there are any petty expenses which does happen, because of which you incur those costs, okay, all those things can be reimbursed by your student travel policy. And these coverages are there with almost all the insurance companies, right? Even the sum assureds, even the least sum assured, the minimum sum assured also, if you take these facilities are there, but the amount of coverage depends on the kind of sum assured what you have actually taken, right? And there is any need of assistance, we are always there. This is the QR code on which you can just take in a snapshot. You can just scan this. It will lead you to our form page, wherein you can just key in your details, and then your phone number and your email ID. Me and my team, we are always there. We'll reach out to you and we will help you out in choosing the right kind of overseas student travel policy. Okay, and you can also give a missed call. Here is the number. It is 7569 645 645. This is the number on which you can also give a missed call, and me and my team will be always there to help you out. So with this, we come to the second session, the end of the second session. That's the 10 must-have coverages. But now is the real situation, wherein in the third session, wherein the think tank. This is a situation we always look into, and we give a lot of thought process, wherein you will be given an opportunity to think a lot. So what are the conditions, or what are the risks which are not covered under your student travel policy? Okay, do you want to know that? So traveling again is the advice of the physician. If the doctor says no, you can't travel, but you still wanting to go and travel because your joining formalities need to be completed in the university, then it doesn't cover any of these things, because you have traveled against the advice of your physician. Okay, and if there is an intentional attempt or a suicide attempt, which is or intentional self-inflicting injury, which is done as an act by the student, then also the policy doesn't cover such kind of medical expenses or an accidental expenses. Okay, and if there is an expenses which the medical treatment which happened because of sexually transmitted conditions, even then your overseas travel policy doesn't cover those medical expenses. It doesn't even cover the anxiety or stress or depression related treatments, because most of the situations we have seen, like people, they go out of their house for the first time, they are seeing the different kind of cultures out there, so it does take a little more time for them to get accustomed. But if they are hale and healthy, they can take care of themselves much easy. Okay, but if they are into anxiety already before and they are already under those kind of treatments, then it is not covered under your student travel policy. And we suggest, if any such kind of situations are there, we suggest the parents and the student not to venture out in these kind of overseas education. It's the healthiness is much better. Okay, being healthy is much better. Right, that's only a suggestion. So we don't intend to say anything, but that's only a suggestion from our side. Okay, and if the usage or abuse of drugs, alcohol, and any other intoxicants, okay, if those situations happen and because of which you got hospitalized and you need to undergo the medical treatment, it is not covered. The insurance policy doesn't cover those medical expenses. Okay, it doesn't even cover the participation in an actual or an attempt to do a felony or a riot or a crime. Okay, you have been a part of the entire crime scene, wherein you are also been involved in doing that crime, then there is no coverage for you. Okay, right? So this is the kind of things which are not covered, and at the same time, we also seen the people asking us a question. So how much cover should one take? How much do you think? Because normally we have seen a $50,000 US, then a lakh of US dollars, then a 2.5 lakh US dollars, 5 lakh US dollars. We are also seeing even 10 lakh US dollars. The recent additions what we are seeing in the market. There's an increasing sum assured. Okay, so how much do you think we need to take? Here is an answer. Higher the cover, lower the cost. Yes, insurance is the cheapest, or it is the more valuable when you actually go for the higher sum assureds, because the higher sum assured or the highest versions of the product give the most comprehensive coverages, number one. At the same time, your premium per lakh of US dollars will come down, and you will have a better coverage, and you can have a better relief and peace of mind in an unfortunate event happening. Okay, let's see with an example. Okay, see, 1 year of premium, if you actually look at, and we have two different kinds of situations where excluding US and Canada is one thing, and then including US and Canada is another one. Okay, so if you actually look into the cost, right, for a 1 lakh US dollars, this we have taken the average price which is available in the market. It is 12,515 rupees for entire 1 year of coverage for one student, right? And if you go for 5 lakh US dollars, it is just 18,275. Which one do you think is the best? Okay, so don't look into the sum assured, look into the premium what you are paying. And definitely a 5 lakh US dollar coverage will have much better option. Probably there are no sublimits for that. Probably there are no no deductions for that, or a minimal deductions for that. Okay, always go for the higher sum assured. Let me also check you and give you the details about, if at all we go for including US and Canada, what is the premium. Okay, for a 1 lakh US dollars, it works out almost 29,273. That means roughly around 30,000. Right? And for a 5 lakh US dollars, it is just 43,999. So just a 30,000 rupees extra, but see the kind of coverage. Your coverage is increasing by 5 times, and you will also have some additional coverage which are normally not there in a 1 lakh coverage. Which one do you think is the real optimal way of covering yourself? Don't look for the amount of sum assured. Look for the premium what you're paying for the kind of sum assured of coverage which you can have for yourself. See, paying little more premium in Indian rupees is much better than paying out there the medical expenses in which is in dollars, in US dollars. Think about it yourself. And that's the reason we included this in think tank section. So thank for knowing all these details. Thank yourself for attending this webinar and knowing all these details, right? Okay, and so what we suggest is please protect yourself, protect your overseas education, right? And not just yourself but also your entire family, right? Okay, and have a right kind of action points for yourself. I know there are a lot of things that you need to take care. It could be from taking care of your clothes, your utilities, or your food items, or your baggage, your study material. There's so many things, right? Okay, of course, still find a way out, and have the right kind of people who can help you out. The action points what we recommend are like this. Go through your university rule book first. Go through your complete university book, right? And then go through those sections. Go through the legalities. Go through your compulsions, right? And see through what are those conditions which they have levied on the insurance. This is the first thing which you have to do. Okay. The second thing, go to and check the nearest network of hospitals which are there in that location. With which insurance company you have the maximum number of hospitals which are there in the network. Okay, the medical cost is really high outside India. Okay, there is a medical tourism. That's the reason medical tourism is actually growing in India. Okay, so please do take care of the network of hospitals, but we do also have options which are there in market wherein you can join any hospital and the insurance company will take care of cashless in that hospital. How about this? Right? It is something which is really fantastic. We did all that research. We have all that information with us. Okay. If you need any help, don't get worried. We are out there. You can just dial up this number 7569 645 645. But before that, what we recommend is fix an appointment with your insurance specialist. You must be having an insurance specialist for your family who does take care of the entire family health, your car insurance, your life insurance of your parents, everything, right? Call him up, fix up an appointment with him. Discuss all these details, okay? And then also discuss all these details with your family members. They should also know, they should also be aware of what to do, what not to do, and whom to contact if there is an emergency condition which turns up for you in an overseas situation, right? Okay, involve your entire family in the complete discussion with your insurance specialist, right? And then choose the right student policy for yourself, which can give you a peace of mind, not just for yourself, but also for your entire family. If you need any support, we are always there. You can actually, even take a snapshot or do a QR scan of this QR code that will lead you to a page where you need to key in your name, your mobile number, and your email ID. Me and my team, we are always there to help you out to have a fantastic overseas education and have a very bright future and make your family proud of yourself. And we take care of your liabilities, your emergency conditions with a proper coverage in place. We also have seen the situation wherein students do also say, yeah, we have taken a policy here, but we went to the university, but the university from the right company, wherein your university can actually accept that health insurance, that overseas education policy, wherein the entire health care is being taken care, right? And if at all you have even some more doubts, you can actually take care. You can have a policy for 3 months. Go out there, check with your university, and once they say yes, you can still extend from 3 months to 1 year by even by sitting in the overseas university. We can also help you out in that. And for all that assistance, just dial up this number. Miss call. You just give a miss call 7569 645 645, or just go to this QR code and then enter all your details, and we are up there to help you out. With this, we have actually come to today's end of today's webinar. That is 10 must-have coverages in student travel insurance. And we thank you for being with us on this live webinar, and we invite you again on every second and fourth Saturday to come to our live webinars from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Okay, thank you. We look forward for you in the next bi-monthly webinar. Get more from Mallapuram. Thank you. Thanks a lot.